Hey guys, it's Rob here, and welcome back to the Robo Show, where we take the gaming news format that channels like Spawnwood or Arlo do, add a dash of animation and some cool editing on top to bring you your gaming news, leaks, and rumors in a fresh new way. So in this video, we do have some pretty cool Nintendo Switch 2 news, especially when it comes to details of those Nintendo Switch upgrades for things like Super Mario Odyssey. We have things like Link's Awakening, Echoes of Wisdom, Splatoon 3, Super Mario 3D World, and more. And we also have some pretty big news for Bandai Namco games, which I love a lot of their games, especially when it comes to like anime games, anything that has to do with anime. I love anime, if you guys didn't know. So that's really exciting, especially when it comes to new Nintendo Switch games that will hit the Nintendo Switch from Bandai Namco. Of course, whatever is announced and revealed there, we will also be covering that, so make sure you're subscribed for that. And also subscribe for my new animations and characters. I've recently been getting into Blender, and it's turning out pretty good. I mean, take a look at this. It definitely has those like Wind Waker vibes, which I really love, so I'm really excited. I'm probably going to even recreate my background. With that being said, the first topic we're going to talk about is the information on the upgrades for Nintendo Switch 2 games. So recently, Digital Foundry did some tests on the games for the Nintendo Switch 2 when it comes to different games like Link's Awakening, The Legend of Zelda Echoes of Wisdom, and Super Mario 3D World, and all of those great new Nintendo Switch games that you're playing, or maybe you already own them and you got those upgrades when you got the Switch 2. Well, now we do know a little bit more information on these games, so this is what Pink Fury over on Twitter has to say. Digital Foundry tested Switch 1 games on Switch 2, specifically the games who got free updates. They offered more details in this video. Here's a screenshot of how exactly these Nintendo Switch games from the Nintendo Switch 1 are being upgraded for the Nintendo Switch 2. So the first one is Link's Awakening 1620p up from Switch 1 720p to 900p. Echoes of Wisdom 1620p up from Switch 1 720p to 900p. Super Mario Odyssey mostly 1800p up from Switch 1 720p to 900p. And then for Splatoon 3, it's mostly 2160 for the resolution, up from Switch 1, and Switch 1 had 720p to 1080p. Super Mario 3D World is upscaled to 1800p or 18000p, whichever one you want to say it like, up from Switch 1 720p to 1080p, and that was on the original Nintendo Switch. Bowser's Fury was 1656p on the Nintendo Switch 2 to 18,000p, and on the Nintendo Switch 1 it was running around 720p. So that right there is actually a pretty big upscale for this game. Now, Captain's Toad Treasure Tracker is 1440p, and this was on the Nintendo Switch 1, which was originally 1080p, so it upscaled from 1080 to 1440 on the Nintendo Switch 2. And as far as New Super Mario Bros. Deluxe goes, it's 2160p on the Nintendo Switch 2, and that's up from 1080p over on the Nintendo Switch 1. So pretty good, guys, definitely good. Let me know what you guys think about the upgrades for the Nintendo Switch 2 on the games that you're playing on. I think one that I've been really enjoying is probably Monster Hunter. You know what just popped in my head? This is like a core memory for me. I'm getting a huge wave of nostalgia. Anybody in the comment section, let me know if you guys remember this one cartoon, Monster Rancher. I have not even thought about that for so long. Man, what happened to that series? Because it had an animated series, it had a game. It seemed like it was going strong, at least looking back on it. And anyways, back to the news. That's just something that popped in my head, but man, that's nostalgic thinking about that. But yeah, Monster Hunter Stories 2 is one that I'm really enjoying. And moving on to the next bit of news. So Bandai Namco is going to be doing a summer showcase, which is actually kind of surprising because when you think of summer showcases, you usually think of June, right? E3 time, well, what was E3? And saying that every single year now is just really depressing. But around this time, it's usually June, but it's kind of surprising that Bandai Namco is doing theirs in July, which is July 2nd, and that's going to be at 3 p.m. ET. I'll try to stream it if I have time. I think it'd be pretty fun to watch it, because Bandai Namco usually does do a lot of different games that I'm interested in, like that My Hero Academia game. That looks pretty fun. There's also going to be exclusive gameplay deep dives and trailers that are going to be shown, like Code Vein 2, you know, the Death Note game apparently, Little Nightmares, Shadow Labyrinth, Tekken 8. There's things like that. So I think it'd be a pretty interesting watch, and especially if you guys are interested in any of those games. Now, when it comes to Nintendo Switch 2 games from this, I do believe that some of these are going to be coming to the Nintendo Switch 2. Even if it's not initially, I feel like eventually they will. I think one thing that's going on with the Nintendo Switch 2, especially when it comes to like third-party games, is even though there are some third-party games announced announced for the Nintendo Switch 2, even if it's just via backwards compatible with the original Nintendo Switch. I feel like a lot of them are planning to put it on the Nintendo Switch 2. They just didn't get those dev kits, so they don't have development for that game going so far as the Nintendo Switch 2. I mean, I could be wrong on that, but I guess we'll see. So I think eventually we're gonna see a lot of people announce Nintendo Switch 2 games, especially next year. With that being said, we have actually some pretty exciting news. So I don't know if anyone used to play Turok on the Nintendo 64, but that was like one of those games that I used to play on the Nintendo 64, and I have a lot of fond memories with that game. So this is actually pretty exciting for me and pretty nostalgic. Apparently Night Dive announced a Turok Trilogy physical bundle for Nintendo Switch. Now, according to the box art, it is not a game keycard, for those wondering. So this is what My Nintendo News has to say. One of the highlights of the Nintendo 64 era was the thrilling Turok series of video games. The games have since received remasters from the talented team at Night Dive Studio, and the company has recently announced that they will be selling the trilogy as a physical bundle on the Nintendo Switch. Pre-orders are available now for the Retro Collection, which includes remastered versions of Turok, Turok 2 Seeds of Evil, and Turok 3 Shadows of Oblivion. It is currently priced at $40, and that's in US by the way, and it says 40 in euros as well, and is available at major retailers and will be released on the 31st of October. There you have it. Right now, money's not too good for me, so more than likely, if this is available on GameFly, I'll rent it and review it from that. Unless these videos end up doing better, I guess we'll see. Like, that really depends on that. So if you guys do want me to do a review and you want the videos to do better so I can do more reviews for you faster without having to wait on GameFly to send it to you, make sure you guys leave a like and of course subscribe and keep coming back to the videos, especially like the ones where I do a lot of animation, because that does take a lot of time. With that being said, that was the last topic for today, and some pretty interesting news, some exciting news too. I feel like the Nintendo Switch 2 era is really fun right now. There's a lot of different things being announced. There's a lot of excitement, a lot of unknown stuff. It really does feel like a great time to be a Nintendo fan for the most part. There are, again, some things, like I always say in these videos, that I don't like that Nintendo has done with the Nintendo Switch 2. But overall, I am very excited about the future, and I'm having fun with the Nintendo Switch 2. Make sure you guys tell me what you guys think about today's topics in the comments section below, and I will see you guys in the next video. Take care.